The Fury of Firestorm, The Nuclear Men, number 7, written by Ethan Van Sciver and Joe Harris, art by Ethan Van Sciver. Start of a new arc, question mark, question mark, kind of just picking up where we left off from. Terrorist attack 2 issues ago. Last issue, Ronnie and Jason went their separate ways, with Jason kind of staying around and Ronnie wanting to go chase the people who caused the attack. This issue picks up with a news reporter going to the ground zero of the attack where Jason is, and basically being like, okay, well, as you can see, there's still a metahuman here. Oh God, is he the one who caused this? And then static. And it turns out Jason actually turned the TV camera to butterflies so that they wouldn't cause any more issues. But Madam Zither is currently freaking out because of the PR nightmare that this is. And basically the entire 3-page scene here just boils down to Jason wanting to know why those terrorists were there and who even they were, and Zither being like, genuinely, I have no idea. And she's like, the issue here is, though, people, you guys all kind of look the same. All the Firestorms have very, matching styles between them. So we have to, they've got some knockoff. You've got the original. We have to convince the people that you're one of the good guys. Meanwhile, whoever it is that's actually out there doing this, they're, going to destabilize the world and cause mass panic or whatever. So, yeah, I guess we should probably stop them. Then we cut over to Ronnie, who is just reminiscing over how great of a football player he was back in the day. And then we see that he is going around just following leads, trying to get to the rogue Firestorms and the Russian guy, aka Pozar, so they can take him out. As soon as he flies over this one base in the middle of barren nowhere, they fire up some rockets or missiles or whatever that apparently have some virtual netting that allows them to capture Ronnie, and he loses his powers, falls back to the field, or falls down to the ground, and then the people pick him up in the back of a pickup truck and drive away. And we see Pozar is within the crowd of people somewhat nearby, and he takes note of this and goes off to do something. Meanwhile, Jason heads back home to his dad. His dad's like, "Oh, Jason, you're alive. We didn't know anything after the explosion, but Zither told us you were safe. It's so good to see you alive." And he's like, "Yeah, here's the thing. Zither tells you a lot of stuff. How much of it really is true?" And then Ronnie's mom shows up, and she's like, "Oh, you're back. You're back. Where's Ronnie?" And he's like, well, he's like, "Oh God, my baby boy! Don't tell me he's dead, please, please, why?" And for some reason, Jason doesn't chime up and say, "Yeah, no, he's still alive." He just lets her think that her son is dead. So that was weird. Regardless, he might be, because we see him being completely tied up with a bunch of tubes and wires around him, and this crazy scientist-looking guy is saying hey buddy, wake up, time for you to tell me some secrets. And he's like, "Okay, here's a secret for you, Firestorm." And when he tries to transform, he gets electrocuted or something. And he's like, "Oh, okay, here's the thing. All these wires and whatever are going to contain your powers, so you're going to go ahead and talk, or else we're going to have to get a little bit more angry with you." And he's like, "Oh yeah, you can't do this, I'm an American." And he's like, "Okay, so you don't seem we've been watching you don't seem to have the power to transmute objects. You just fly around and do energy blasts." And he's like, "Well, yeah, I don't have all the powers." He's like, "Oh, so there's more of you, cool." And he's like, I didn't say that." Then we cut back over to Zither Tech for 10 seconds. Jason is visiting Tanya in the hospital, and Zither's assistant shows up and is like, "Hey, here's the thing, Jason. Zither has been really nice to you, and she's never nice to anybody. So please don't get on her bad side. Play the game. Just play the game, or else you're going to get played by it." And she hands him a folder with just some concept art of 2 other Firestorms, which I guess are supposed to be files on where to find them, but it's literally just the concept art. So then we go to Ronnie, who's still being tortured, and apparently they're pumping him with nuclear fire, which his body is able to absorb but not expel. So he's going to die. And meanwhile, as they're doing these things on him, Posar shows up, starts wrecking shop. They had another firestorm there, but Posar made quick work of him and then killed the scientist. And then as he does so, he looks over at Ronnie, who's like, "Oh, for the love of God, Posar, please help me." And he's like, "All right, just remember I did this for you because I don't do this very often." And he frees Ronnie from his chains. And he's like, "No, you don't understand, Posar. I didn't want you to let me go." And then we just see that Ronnie, it seems like, has his hand or his arm cut off, like at the forearm, his left hand. I genuinely, these last 2 pages were the most confusing for me. Like, did he want Posar to put him at like a mercy killing or something? There's a whole bunch of energy like just billowing out of his cut off hand. When did he lose his hand? It definitely wasn't lost 2 pages earlier. I don't know when this happened. I don't know what's happening right now. Overall, like the issue. It's a fine enough issue. It's probably a little bit boring on Jason's side of things, but that's necessary to set up the next thing he's going to do, which is seemingly seek out some other firestorms. But the Ronnie side was interesting, at least, with him being captured. But then on these last couple pages, I'm just like, I don't know what we're doing here. What is going on? Genuinely, this is one point where a little bit of a caption box saying like, "And Ronnie has lost his hand, and that's why he asked Posar to kill him," or something. Like, I'm just confused. Maybe I'm dense, but I don't think it's super obvious regardless. So yeah, it's got some issues because it's on one half of the story it's pretty boring just to set up the next thing, and on the other half of the story it's exciting but then very quickly confusing. And I don't know. I'm giving it a 6. A lot of the saving grace on that is the art. It's very well done art. I can't complain much about that at all. There are a few weird faces here or there, but genuinely it's fine throughout. It's just, it feels like it's kind of like it wanted to split into 2 plots, but then both of them are equally spinning their wheels. So I guess I'm just waiting for them to get back together or for them to actually do something.